there was a whole thing that never got publicized that I'll fill you in on that was pretty cool, is that I got approached by Rob to do a record. Okay.
Rob Zombie? No, Rob Halford.
No. This was Rob Halford.
Yeah.
And Rob had reached out to me. Rob and Rob's manager at the time had reached out to me. And so we had this meeting, and he flew me down to Phoenix. We had this meeting, and it was just this sort of whole eye-opening thing for Rob, because I was like, hey, listen, dude, you've been in Priest, you've been in Fight, you've taken that about as far as you can go. Maybe it's time to open a new door, because he is such a good singer and he's so talented. I'm like, what if we made this really cool record that was like, it was not breaking the law, wasn't this, it wasn't that, or it wasn't this fight, wasn't this. It was like, wow, what if we just reinvented the universe for you? And so he was like, yes, I want to do this. Let's do that. Right. And right after, we sort of, yeah, okay, let's do this. Right after that, he gets a call from Tony Iommi's manager. And Tony was like, hey, let's do a record together. And so in the Cheesecake Factory in Woodland Hills, California, there was myself, Rob, and Tony Iommi sitting here talking about creating a new thing. And we were like, yes, let's do this. This is going to be amazing, right? So we all said yes. And then literally a week or two after that, Sharon Osbourne reaches out to Tony and was like, hey, you know what? Let's put this back together, because we can make an absolute shit ton of money. And so the whole Halford thing went away, and the beginning of the whole reunion of Black Sabbath came about, right?
Oh.
So, and I was initially bummed, but then Rob and I and John Five started making the Voyeurs record, right? And that to me was like, at that point, probably in my career, that would have been maybe my favorite record that I had ever done, right? And there was only one rub on that record, was that I thought the best thing that we could do on that record was get this thing signed, make this record, get it signed to Interscope / Trent Reznor's label, because I thought that was the kind of cred that we needed to stamp this thing with, to let everybody know this is the real deal. This is a cool ass record. Trent's on board, Interscope's on board, bada bing, bada boom. So the only rub on this is that I finished the record, and it's like, let's put it like this. I had Tom Murillo come in and listen to the mix, and he turned to me afterwards and that is just the most amazing thing I've heard in years. And he actually, that was on his top 10 records of the 90s, right?
Wow.
But here's the rub though. It was pre-Trent Reznor, because after I turned the record in, Trent calls me up and it's like, Bob, electronica. It was like, and from The Graduates, plastics. I just got one thing to say to you, and that's plastics, right? And he was like, electronica. And I'm like, yes, what does that mean? And so Trent remixed the record, but really took all of the nutsack out of it. And all of a sudden there was all this poo, 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 poo,
Right.
electronica kind of stuff, and everything was like, and I was like, I was so bummed because it was like, it was the coolest, most badass record, because it was like John 5 just like in his real heyday and everything. And then sort of a lot of the guitars came out and electronica stuff came in. And it
Wow.
was, and I was so, but here's the takeaway though. At the end of the day, it didn't really matter, because audiences were like, fuck you, where's Rob Halford?
Mm.
Where's breaking the law? Breaking the law. Where's that? They were so, they rebelled against that record so hardcore because they just didn't want him to change.